silence of mediocrity to disperse expansive, game-changing marketing wisdom. This is the Jeff Payne Show.
Reaching for a higher place than we can reach alone. Get up, get in, it's time to win. This is a Jeff Payne Show.
Welcome to episode number 1. I am your host, Jeff Payne, and I'm here with my co-host, Donovan Fourie.
And yes, you heard me correctly. This is our first podcast, and I appreciate you joining us. Today, what I'm going to be talking about with Donovan is what to do when your marketing stops working. We're going to talk about the 5 critical pivots
that you will want to consider in your marketing this year.
Donovan, we've produced quite a few things over the years, but wouldn't you agree that marketing this year is a little bit different than what it has been, let's say, the last 5 years?
You're right. There's been a sharp evolution of what it is that people are looking at, or even how they're looking at it. There's a lot of stuff that we did, bread and butter stuff, that now it's just not getting through. And so the approach needs to change. I think the way that we present things need to change. The way we focus on smaller, finite things probably be a bit more important than that broad shotgun approach that a lot of people take to marketing.
Yes, and I'm in complete agreement with you. In fact, we have a client that I was looking at just before our meeting, and their traffic is up 62% over the last 30 days, and they've had double-digit growth ever since January 1st when we launched their new website. And so when I think about that, I think, okay, just because the traffic is up, have we had higher conversions? And that is about engagement, because if you're just getting the traffic, that's noise. If you're getting the engagement, then you're going to convert leads into sales. And so their engagement is up 47%, and they have 65.4% new users. So they're elated. And we're going to talk a little bit about them without mentioning their name, without their permission in this podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about them because they have been a test case that we have looked at as we have pivoted into 2025, knowing November and December, when we were really putting our pedal to the metal with regards to their project, some of the things that we wanted to change. And so I'd like to talk about the first pivot, which is where Donovan is an expert, and it's around branding, making your brand stick. And Donovan, when I think of this project that I'm talking about, we totally revamped their brand, not so much from a logo design or anything like that, although we've sharpened the colors. I would say it that way. You may say it differently. And we've repositioned some things. But one of the things I think we did with regards to their brand is we gave it a voice, where in the past, we were just helping people consume information and build trust by consuming it. Today, I don't think that works like it did even a year ago. The consumer is inundated with all kinds of different channels of marketing, and what worked a year ago isn't working as much today. Would you add to that?
No, absolutely. I think in terms of a brand, if we're just talking about this client that we had revamped, the brand of this client, we've been working on it for an awful long time, and we've been adding to it. Now, we've been building on a foundation that was slightly flawed, and we've been trying to clean it up a little bit, but we kept adding to that. And I think that a website, for example, we completely tore down the website and came back with a brand new website. The website can be, for a lot of brands, like that closet that you have. When things are lying around, people come over, you just kind of shove it into that closet. And the websites become that eventually. They become that place where you just keep dumping stuff into it, and we'll just add that. And I think the approach for 2025 is for us to start clearing out that closet and to start throwing away instead of adding. So I think it's very important that we start cleaning up a lot of things. And this is what we did with this specific website. Is we took all that superfluous stuff, all that junk that's been lying around for a long time. We throw that out. We take a whole new approach to what the site looks like. And now when you get to the site, it is crisper, it's cleaner, that you're more focused on what it is that you're looking for. Everything that you see is new, even though a lot of the content would still be the same. It has a new shine to it. And we had just cleaned the house, really, and came back with a really clean, bright new website.
Yes. And with that, views are up 45%. Events that we're measuring are up 82,000 over the last 30 days. And they're just happy as can be, but they have no clue as to what is causing that. And they're subtle things that you think don't make a difference that do. And that leads me to the area number 2, where we are pivoting as a marketing company. And that is navigating the crowded content landscape field. And a lot of that, Donovan, that we've talked about is due to artificial intelligence. It's making it easy for anybody to come in and create massive amounts of content. But in reality, it's a double-edged sword. It makes it easier to get content, but your competitor is able to do the same thing with the same algorithm, and they're pulling all this content in, and Google and Bing and Yahoo, they're all looking at this saying, oh, this is not new. This is regurgitated content. And so it's not working anymore based on a content strategy only. Content is important, but only if it's human authored. And so that takes time and effort. But more than that is I like how Donovan, in charge of marketing and branding, looks at that. And it's really about how you present it and creating a show. What would you say, Donovan, about that?
I'm actually surprised at how AI is like gum. You pop that piece of gum in your mouth and it tastes really great. And within about 5 minutes, 3 minutes, you really just want to spit that out because it doesn't taste like anything anymore. And AI is just that. I'm really surprised at how fast we have gotten just sick of AI, or that it has lost its taste. And you're right. If I rely on AI to just generate some content, my competitor can do the exact same, and he will have almost identical content. And there's no differentiation. I'm not standing out. I'm not being different. I'm not being authentic. And that's the big thing, is authenticity.
Yes.
If you consider the fact that what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we actually had to design a logo that we are going to now be adding to our content. And the logo actually says human generated copy. We're at the point now where we have to point out that our copy on our site is human generated and not AI. When it comes to images, I know a lot of people couldn't really tell an AI image from an authentic image. But as a designer, I've been doing this for longer than I care to admit to. When I scroll through websites, when I scroll through photo books, or when I scroll through anybody's content, I can spot, for the most part, the AI images immediately. And there is it's that lack of authenticity.
Yes.
It's overly warm, it's overly shiny, it's overly perfect. It just lacks that authenticity that an actual photograph, an actual person has. With copy, I guess at a glance, it's a little harder to tell if words were generated by AI. But I think a few paragraphs in, you're going to find it lacks soul.
Yes.
And I think that's the big thing, is when a potential customer comes to your website and they want to read through, they want to assess your knowledge, there are a few paragraphs in and they get that feeling in the back of their skull that maybe this was AI generated. I think they're out. I think the customer's out. He's going to go off somewhere else and go see if somebody is authentic, my opinion.
And I totally concur with that. I think that is excellent. That leads really to the next pivot, number 3, where we talk about the human touch of differentiation. And one of the pivots we've made, and we really made it last year, but more so as we go into this year, and that's using short form video and looking at quality over quantity. Donovan laid it out on all of our projects, the type of video that wins. Why don't you share a little bit about that formula in a nutshell? Let's don't go over the whole thing. We'll save that for another podcast, but give an overview of what are the ingredients to short form video of making it win in a content saturated world.
You're right. We will be covering that in a separate episode, and probably in more than one episode. Consider this: the largest search engine in the world outside of Google today is YouTube. And people go to YouTube to find everything, their news, their content, their entertainment, everything is right there. And obviously video driven. So in a sea of video, an absolute ocean of video, you have to be authentic, one. You have to be clean, short, to the point. And if you can, entertaining. It's not, it's easy. You're asking a guy that sells life insurance to create a video and explain his product to you. You're not going to expect him to be overly entertaining necessarily. I'm not trying to knock insurance salesmen, but some people would just be natural and be entertaining on video, and some people would struggle with video. And we've had clients that struggle with video. It takes a lot of coaching. It takes a few takes. It takes a few videos before they start getting comfortable behind the camera. Authenticity, short, sharp, to the point. Don't warble on like I'm doing right now. I'm warbling on. There's many things that makes good video. It's not the expensive equipment. It's the people in the video and the information that you're trying to bring across.
All right. And pivot number 4, area where we're focusing a lot on, is playing on rented land. And a lot of, I shouldn't say our current clientele, but clients that come to us, they're so used to playing on Facebook or even YouTube, different channels of marketing. And they've discovered in the last year that those channels have changed and they haven't built their foundation of marketing on their own brand to where they're using email, having it delivered consistently. And one of the first things you can tell when a company really doesn't have a strategy is they want to throw everything against the wall and hope something sticks. But I won't mention another client's name, but they have gotten to where they send out a newsletter twice a week, or we send it out for them and we build it for them. And that those 2 newsletters generate anywhere between 10 to 20 leads a month. And those 10 to 20 leads are worth anywhere from $40,000 to $250,000 if they make a sale. They would be disappointed if a newsletter did not go out. We call it a newsletter. We actually call it a news shot. And it's a snapshot of content that has been highly curated and put together in a format where Donovan and his team make it shine. And Donovan, you and I have seen it before where companies just throw together something and they use the brand of what's being mailed rather than their own brand, and it looks really childish. And what do you feel?
Kind word.
Yeah. What do you feel has been the key with our email marketing strategy this year compared to previous years?
I'm a sucker for punishment. I sign up to a lot of emails. I get a lot of emails. And I'm absolutely shocked at the quality or lack of quality of some of these emails. They are just terrible. they are not engaging. They don't, there's nothing in those emails that make me want to read, with an exception here and there. I think one of the things that we've done is we've been raging against the machine. Technology behind emails have not changed in how many years? 10, 20, 30. It feels to me like this just forever. The technology has not changed. When it comes to websites, what we can and cannot add onto a website has changed so much. We're not quite limitless, but there is so much that we can do on a website. We can have fun. We can create wonderful things. But in email, we are so restricted. We've got all these different people that don't want to play together. You've got all these different platforms that are just restricting. So to try and create an email that goes to 100 clients that use maybe 10 different platforms and get it out there consistently has just been a battle. We found that key. We unlocked that secret a few years ago. First of all, we changed the words newsletter to a news shot, which just means that we've condensed it. We've made it shorter. People have limited attention span. People have limited patience for the stuff that you send them. Really, we don't want to tell you the whole story in the email. We want you to go and visit the website. So we keep those nice and short. We make them a tease, and people go off and they click on that and go to the website. But we've actually managed to bypass most of those problems that you have with limited platforms. And we've created wonderful, colorful, consistent emails that we can send an email to 100 people and it would look the same to all those people. And that, I think, has been part of the success that we've had with our emails, with our news shots. I can actually be creative.
Yes.
For me, it's always been one of the main bugbears is that I can't be creative in an email. We figured out a way to do that. And that has made a big difference in the stuff that we send out.
Absolutely. And huge open rates because of that. And our last pivot is really around advertising, banner ads in particular. It's become very expensive to do paid advertising. Google costs have risen dramatically. And one of the things that we have done, I should say, over the last year is we've made it more of a journey rather than an ad, meaning we're exchanging value. We're giving this person who is searching for a specific solution to a problem information that they want in exchange for information we want, which is an email. Because if we can get an email address, just like what Donovan was talking about, we can nurture that person over time, because none of us are ready to buy usually the first moment or when we come in contact with something. It takes an iteration or several of them. And Donovan, I'm thinking of one that we just did, hasn't been developed yet, but you designed it, where it creates a visual element of what they're getting, but it also interacts with them to get them to respond to 2 to 3 questions so that psychologically we're getting buy-in. If we could get them to agree that we hear what their problem is and what they're wanting to do, then we create a campaign around that. And that's one of the big things. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, rather than just throwing an ad on Facebook or on Google. It's really creating a campaign around that ad that helps a person solve their problem, but know that you're not just solving it, you're giving them value, way more value than they would get from any other ad. Donovan, you want to add something to that?
I started designing billboards back in the day when I was working in advertising. This is about 100 years ago. And we've always had that problem fighting against clients who say, I've got this gigantic billboard right next to the motorway. I want to put my special on there. I want to put my phone number. I want to put the website on, and they just keep throwing stuff at it. The customer's doing 90 miles an hour going past your billboard, and he didn't see a single thing on that billboard. Not a single thing. He didn't take anything away from it. But if we strip all that back down, we put a single message on there with your logo, nobody's going to memorize a phone number at 90 miles. That's right. You're not picking up on anything except the main message on that. And the banner ads have become the same thing, where people just, because they're spending money on it and it's costing more and more to do, they try to cram more and more into it. And it becomes ineffective completely. And so when you are creating banner ads, you need to create that tease. You need to go back to classic advertising. Create a tease, create a simple message, create a beautiful image, something that'll stop them in their tracks when they're scrolling through a sea of banners, literally. And on any website, on any news site, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, anywhere, not throw more. Just because you're spending money on it doesn't mean you have to throw the kitchen sink in there.
That's right. Yeah, that's great. Hey, we appreciate you joining us. If you made it this far in the podcast, we are truly thankful that you're with us. And we hope you sign up. We'll be coming to you with our next podcast. It'll be on a weekly basis, so we'll be back next week. And if you have any thoughts, please share them with us. We'd love to hear from you. And please sign up. And if you did like it, and I know it's a long stretch, but give us a 5-star rating so we can get found on Google for this marketing podcast. And so thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to The Jeff Payne Show.
Find the complete archives of all episodes at jeffpayne.net or subscribe for free at Apple Podcasts and never miss an episode.